Hey, good morning and welcome to my craft room. This morning I figured it's nice and quiet here today, and husband's still sleeping, so I figured I'd jump on really quick. I'm getting ready to do today's card so I can post it, and I'm using the paper from the Whimsy and Wonder, and I am going to use the Delivering Cheer stamp set again, and I wanted to use the different bottom half to the stamp and the packages because I figured it matched this DSP perfectly. So before I got started, I got my card laid out, have my images stamped. I thought I would jump on really quick to show you what process I go through when I'm going to color my images. And where I have a few minutes this morning, I figured this was the best time to do it because it's quiet right now and I don't have to rush to finish my card. So here are the two pieces to the stamp set that I'm going to be using. And you'll notice that in this stamp, I purposely did her. Let me just see if I can zoom in on here a little bit better. That's better. You can see, I don't know if you can tell, but when I did her boots, I wanted to do a different color. And you'll notice that on her boots, when it stamps, there's a white line and white pieces on the, it's actually when you're looking at it on the left-hand side of her boot. So what does that mean to me? That means that the sun, and we'll do it this way, is hitting this image this way. Okay? Because when you have, I have glue on my fingers. Because when I'm looking at this, this is telling me that there's light hitting this side of the boot, the left side of the boot when you're looking at the image. So the sun is coming in from this direction. So this side of the dress is going to be lighter than this side of the dress. These are pleats. So the pleats, they'll be lighter near the point of the pleat, and it'll be darker under the pleat. Her buttons, it'll be lighter on this side of the button and darker on this side of the button. And then we'll work our way over. It'll be darker here, and they show that in the stamp. And then, because this is underneath this side of the dress, but then where the sun is coming this way, it's going to be darker, lighter here, and then slowly get darker at this point. Here's a pleat, it's going to have a shadow. Here's a pleat, and it's going to have a shadow. So let's jump to her packages. Now she's going to be carrying her packages, and we're going to work with the same sunlight. So this side of the packages are going to be brighter than this side. Her arm, the same. Your shadow is going to be cast from left to right. So this box is standing up. The light is going to hit this corner, the bow here. It's going to cast a shadow under this tail of the bow. This side of the box is going to be brighter than this side of the box. This box is going to cast, and while we're doing it, I'm going to grab the gray. It'll be easier so you can see. So here's our sun. So this box here is going to cast a shadow here, because it looks to me like these boxes are behind this box, and this box is up further than these boxes. Okay, so the sun is hitting, we're going to cast a shadow here and on this side, and then this little ribbon, you're going to have a very thin shadow there. This box is tilted upward, so this box behind, there's going to be a shadow here. Okay, now this box is on top of this box. If the sun is coming down, I would think that this box is about the same length as this box. So I'm just going to put a shadow right here. And then it looks like this box is overhanging this box here. Now we're going to look at these boxes. So this one here, I think this box is overhanging this box here. Okay? It's going to cast a shadow on her arm. This box looks like it's really pushed back, so we're going to darken the whole thing. And then her hand, because the sun is coming in this way, her hand is going to cast a shadow right there on that box. And then we'll have a shadow on her arm on this side. Okay? This side of the box is going to have a little bit of darkness because it's furthest away from the sun. This is going to have a shadow and a shadow there. This box is going to have a shadow underneath. This box is going to be bright on this side. This little ribbon is going to cast a little shadow. There's going to be a little shadow down here. So when you're laying your image out, you can use gray. And I can't see comments, so I'll pick them up after I'm done. So now that I have all my shadows, and we're going to add a little shadow to her arm right here. It's just giving me a placement. It's a light enough color that I can see where my shadows are going to be. So when I come in to color, that is where my darkest colors are going to go. And I usually, at the end of using my blends, I do pick up an indigo blue pencil to cast a little bit of a darker shadow. And then I use white to brighten. So now we'll go to the bottom half of her. Like I said, we know that the light is hitting her boot right here. So this side of the boot is going to be a little darker. And then it's going to have a little shadow underneath. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. Now her ankle is thinner and it sits back from the toe, so there's going to be a shadow right here where her foot and her ankle come together, and it's going to be on this side too. Okay, and you can round it off because you know it's not sitting flat. For her leg, we know that her skirt is going to cast a shadow. And instead of doing it straight across, I'm going to give it a little bit of an angle because her leg is not flat. It's rounded like a pencil. So you're going to have a curved shadow on her leg. So I'm going to hit that shadow here, and she's going to have a shadow on this side of her leg. Her dress, she's going to have a shadow here. Underneath her dress, we're going to have a curved shadow. And then we're going to have a shadow on this side of her leg. Okay? Here, we're going to have a thin shadow, because it's a pleat, and a thin shadow. There's going to be a shadow on this side of the buttons. There's going to be a thin shadow here, because to me it looks like her dress may, or coat may button from her left to the right, or from the right to the left of this image. So I'm thinking maybe the buttonholes are on this piece here, but where the sun's coming in and it looks like this piece is a little bit higher, I am going to just put a teeny tiny shadow right here on the edge of that dress. And like I said, then it'll be a little lighter on this in the center. It'll get a little darker against this edge, but then again, this is going to cast a shadow, and then it's going to cast a shadow here, and this whole piece is going to be darker than this side, because we know the sun is coming in this direction. Now the next thing I would do is her skin. So we have 2 arms and 2 legs. We already know where our shadow is because we outlined it, and I did it in the light gray granite, because that's about the lightest color I could come up with, but still cast, hey Fran, how are you? And still cast a shadow. So when I do skin, I use the light cinnamon cider, and then when I color it, I'll determine whether I want to use the dark cinnamon cider. I use Ivory, and then I use light petal pink. I know you're thinking it's not going to go together too well. Cinnamon cider is just too dark, but it honestly isn't. And I work with the nub side of my blends. Now I'm going into detail with this image, but know that I also have a Patreon class for $3 a month, and we get into a lot of different images and coloring. So taking the cinnamon cider, I am just going to go over that gray shadow that we already added to this image, and I'm going to go right down the stamped line. Okay, same thing on this leg. We're going to go up into where that coat is, and we're going to add our shadow to the right side of that leg. Now it looks pretty dark, and it looks like the camera is a little fuzzy this morning for some reason. Okay, so there you can see how dark that is? It's really honestly that dark because we're working on a very stark white piece of paper with hardly any color on it yet. And it'll get better. So now we're going to grab the ivory. And the ivory, you know, if you have a dark shadow, we're also going to have a light shadow on this side of the leg because it's a rounded leg. If you lay a round pen on a piece of paper, and my lighting, I have secondary lighting coming down from the top, but I do have a lamp that is right there on the upper left-hand side of this table. So holding my pen here, this is a great example to show you why we're doing the shadows the way we're doing it. And I'm sorry that this is out of focus. Maybe that's a little better. So you can see, let me just grab this pointer. See this dark shadow down here on the paper? That's because the light is over here. So here's that dark shadow. But if you look on this side of the pen, and I'm going to move, let me just grab a piece of paper without lines on it. Okay, so you can see that dark shadow right on this side of the pen, and it actually is about 1/4 of an inch wide from the edge of the pen to where you see the light source again. But if you look on this side of the image, there is a shadow being cast right here under this pen, but it's lighter than the shadow that is on this side of the pen. So we're going to go back to her legs. I'm using light cinnamon cider for the dark shadow, so I'm going to grab the ivory, and what did I do with it? Oh, it's in my lap. I'm going to grab the ivory because it's lighter, and that is going to be my shadow on this side of her leg. But I am also going to go along the edge of the cinnamon cider because we want to get that edge so it's not so stark. You want it to be gradual. So I just added a little bit of the ivory right around the edge of this cinnamon cider. So we're going to do the same thing on this side of her leg. And we're going to come up and around, and we're going to add that shadow to the left side of her leg. Now you'll see, and the camera sucks. Hey, Margaret. Now you can see, nope, there it goes. It's trying to focus. That the line between the cinnamon cider and the white are now blended a little bit. So now I can take my petal pink, and I'm going to actually use the brush this time, and I am just going to sweep over that space. So this way you can still see, man, that camera stinks. You can still see the petal pink, and this is light petal pink, but it is casting a nice highlight in the center of her leg. I will go back to my cinnamon cider because I like to have my shadows pretty dark. So I'm going to go back over my shadow. So I'm going back over to what I've already colored, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. This way my color is a little richer. I'm just going to pull that up and around, just like that. Grab my petal pink, wash over the center of that image, and now her legs have a shadow from the sun that's coming in this direction. Now for her boots, let's see what color I'm going to grab here. This is actually the polished pink, and I used the Stampin' Right marker to color the stamp before I stamped it. Let's see. Don't want Poppy Parade. Let's grab some light real red. I think this will be a good color. So we're going to put in our shadows for her boots. And we're going to just go over that gray that we added before, so we can cast this shadow on this side of her boot. Okay. Now I am going to try, I like the nice thin point on the Stampin' Right markers. I am going to just put a nice line right below that white mark. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side because there is a shadow there. Okay? Just so we can show that the boots are rounded. Now that we did that light, that's dark flirty flamingo. We need a lighter color. I'm going to grab light flirty flamingo. Let's see what this looks like. That'll be good. So now with light flirty flamingo, and I'm using pinks. I just want darker to lighter. And I am going to outline the top of her boot to give it an edge. I'm going to put a line down the right hand side of those white marks that are showing us the light. And then I am just going to go along the edge of that dark, actually it's the light real red. And I'm just going around and adding to the edge of that dark color, because we want to blend that color down so it's not, so it's not like you see a nice dark line and then your next color. You want these two colors to blend together. So now I'm going to go back to my polished pink, and I am just going to go over all those shadows again. Just like that, to give her boots. And then I'm going to go back to the flirty flamingo, and I'm going to add that other color, because I just want these colors to blend. I want to try to make these boots look like they're not flat. Okay. And then I'm just going to grab my pencil, and I'm actually going to lighten up these marks. And then she has her little boots. And they don't look so flat as they did before. So now what color shall I do her dress? We did green. We have pink. Let's go with, we'll go with the soft succulent. And then I think I can use the light and dark soft seafoam. Let's see what macaroon looks like. And I should say, if you're going to color with blends, we're going to do macaroon. You should have a piece of paper down so you don't ruin your table. That's just jade. As you can see, I have not. Here's light macaroon. I don't have any. I need to put little tabs on the end of my markers so I can find them quicker. Okay, so we're going to go with the dark succulent first. And we are going to color over that line of gray that we added. So we're adding in our shadow. I'll darken these buttons up once we get finished, but I'm just going to put a little line on this side of the button because it's going to cast a shadow. And then we have our shadow here. And this inside I'll probably darken up with a pencil. And then I am going to add my line here. And I'm going to add it here. And I'm actually going over the line that is created when we stamped. Hey Kathy, how are you, honey? So now that we did the, soft succulent, I'm just going to color that in because I want to see now which one is lighter. Is the dark macaron lighter or is the soft succulent lighter? Or I should say darker because I want to get a good blend. Okay, so it looks like the light soft succulent is the next color I would use. So we're going to very carefully, because we're working with a little tiny area, we are going to just add a little bit of color to that dark, just to pull it out a little bit on this side, because this is where the light is hitting. Okay? And then on here, we're going to add more color behind the buttons. And then we can add a line here. And then we're going to add some more color here. And more color here. So we're just building on this color. And you just have to remember, this side is going to be darker. So I'm going to grab my lightest color and I am going to fill in this space with the lightest color. And I'm going to add some here. And then I'm going to go to the dark mint macaron. This was the light. Now we're going to the dark, because this side is going to be the darkest. So we're going to actually color all of this in. We're going to color all of this in. I think now that this section, we're going to have this color here and some more of this color here. I'm going to make that thicker. And then I'm going to take the lighter and I am going to extend that line. And I'm going to leave a little bit of white there for now. So we have our dark mint macaron. And I am going to extend this here, go around that button, coloring that around. And I'm just going to straighten that line out a little bit. Take the lightest, and then we're going to just extend that out a little because I want that edge to blend. And it looks terrible right now, but what you have to do is go back and start all over. So we're going to darken this up. Add our shadow. Add our shadow here. Nice thin line. And now that we have our map laid out, we can just go right back over and we're going to just extend this. And this is the easiest way. Just keep adding your color. The dark, we're just going to hit this side of the coat and then go around the buttons. Now the buttons seem to disappear with the color. I'll show you what I'll do. Now this side is going to be dark. I'm going to add a little color here. And now we're going to our lightest. Now that we did that, I'm just going to let the ink dry for a second. And then I'm going to use the brush side, and I'm going to quick do a wash over everything I have just colored, because it will help blend all the colors together. And then once it's completely dry, I'm going to grab my indigo blue pencil and add a bit more darkness. And then I'm going to grab my white pencil and put in my highlights. So now that I have the coat finished, I am going to grab my black Stampin' Write marker, and I am actually going to color in her buttons. And I'm leaving a little tiny circle in the middle of that button, so I can go back with my white pen, it's a gel pen, and I am just going to put a dot right in the center of her buttons. And you can't really see it. The camera really, I'll have to take a closer picture. For some reason my camera is wonky today. So that is how I color the bottom of her. I'm going to follow the same thing, or the same pattern that I colored the bottom of her. So let me sign off. I'll color the presents, and then I will post the finished card in a little bit. So thanks for joining. Have a great day, and I hope you learned something from how I get my images colored. Now, I should say, what I'm going to do is, where this is a two-piece stamp, I am going to put a dark line under where these presents are. So I will add it with marker, even though when I take the photo will cast a shadow. But I will add some darkness underneath that image. Probably on where I fussy cut it, I'll add it right to here and then carry it over to her dress. So I'll see you in a little bit. Hey, Dew. I was just ready to sign off. Did you just wake up? I'm sure you didn't. It's already 9 o'clock. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sign off, color the presents. I'm not really too sure the colors I'm going to use. Big decision. And I'm going to put her right here on the front of this card using the Whimsy and Wonder paper. And I'll see you in a little bit when I post. And I'll also have the PDF from last night. So thanks for stopping in. I will talk to you in a little bit. Have a great day. Bye-bye.